with your host, Andrew Romanella.
When you play Battle in Mario Kart and you don't turn off any of the items, there are bananas everywhere. I mean, it's like you're losing your balloons because you're slipping on bananas left and right. Bananas everywhere. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of The Rome Show here on 12ouncesports.com, broadcasting live on YouTube, on X, on Roku, and Fire TV. I'm your host, Andrew Romanella. We got you for the next 25 minutes or so, and it is a
hump day.
Yes, it is, and that means hump day. Headlines for the people. If you're not here every Wednesday, here's how it works. We spend about 4 or 5 minutes on each topic, and we take you around the sports world with all the best and most important topics for you on this April 2nd, 2025. You want to get in on the action, as our favorite listeners do. Our guy Kai the goalie's got his camels up. He's ready for
hump day,
and he's ready for the headlines. Tune into the show like Kai the goalie does on youtube.com/12OZ Sports or x.com/12OZ Sports. You comment live, we could put it up on the air, and we can have a nice, healthy discussion. We got football to talk about today. We got basketball to talk about today. We got baseball to talk about today, and we got the headlines for you. So we hope you're ready and excited. You miss any of it, the Rome Show podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. All right, without further ado.
Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Hump day.
It's hump day, and we're starting in the National Football League. We got a lot of things to discuss today on this Wednesday in the National Football League. 3 stories coming out of the owners' meetings that really, really matter, okay? And a 4th that I think is interesting nonetheless. Let's start with the first one.
Hump day.
The NFL has decided that they are going to use Sony's Hawk-Eye technology so that they can appropriately measure the first downs in the National Football League. Now, this has been something that I think has been talked about for a minute now in the National Football League. I can hear people complaining on a Monday after watching football all day Sunday. I cannot believe that we have all this technology in the world and we are still spotting first downs with the old school chain gang. And so finally, you watch enough first downs have a real impact on a football game. You learn that getting 1 yard in the National Football League is so hard that it really does come down to the spot of the football. If I'm looking for a 4th and 1 or a 4th and 2, that one singular yard add-on based on the spot of the football or the lack of spot of the football can feel like a mile for a football team to try and gain to not turn the football over. So the NFL will have 6 8K cameras around the field that are going to give you a perfect or as close to a pinpoint accurate spot with the technology as possible. The chain crew will still exist, okay? So the chain gang will be a secondary version of marking the football, and there will be a control center, kind of like the instant replays that happen in Major League Baseball. We're going to send it back to New York. There will be a control center for this as well, to make sure that they get every call exactly right. I love this, okay? I don't understand how it took the National Football League this long to get here. I mean, if you think about it, this technology has really, truly existed for a minute now, especially in tennis, okay? Tennis players have had the opportunity to challenge an in or out call, and we've been watching them show us an overhead view of the tennis ball in or out for a long time now. And so technology like this has been trending. I just think that the hard part for a sport is getting it to an accuracy percentage that they feel won't negatively impact the game. And at the same time, if you're going to introduce something new to a sport, you better hope, or you're doing it because you believe that it's going to make the sport better. And I think now is the time that the NFL believes the technology is good enough. We're confident enough in what our plan is going to be for this, and it will make the game better. So Sony Hawkeye technology for first down spotting moving forward in the National Football League, which is also huge because now Rocky Romanella, the eldest, no longer has to make this argument. I can't believe we're still spotting first downs like this. So big change coming in the National Football League. We continue. Moving on to overtime. Now, the rule is going to state that each football team will be allowed one possession in the overtime period. How many times have we had a conversation, whether regular season or postseason, in the National Football League, where it's like, well, what if both teams just possess the football? I don't understand. Why don't we give each team a chance to possess the football? Well, now that's going to happen. And you look at situations primarily with Josh Allen, where the Bills in the regular season or the Bills in the postseason over the last 5 years, people seem to have felt like, well, this game was so good. Goes to overtime with the Chiefs. The Chiefs don't give the Bills a chance to touch the football. Well, I mean, in theory, if you're playing sudden death overtime in the National Hockey League and the one team wins a faceoff, and they take that puck from the faceoff and they go and score, technically the other team did not touch the ball. Now, I do understand these two sports are different, and there is a designation of offense versus defense in the National Football League. But it's that same idea. You could change the rules 15 times over. It still doesn't mean that someone might not feel slighted, but the National Football League, the owners, they voted, they decided everyone gets a possession in overtime. Okay. Now, in the regular season, it still stays as a 10-minute period, but this is the most important for the playoffs. Now, if you have a tie game in the postseason, you go into overtime, you no longer have to worry about just winning the coin toss for you to be able to get the football first. And or if you don't win the coin toss and they get the football first, a touchdown doesn't just end the game. You're going to get a chance to go out and tie it. Okay? And I think that is going to offer some exciting plays, games, moments moving forward in the National Football League. So, OT, everyone possesses the football. We move on. The touchback is now changing. So something that's gone on in the National Football League over the last few years is the change of the kickoff. Okay. Last year, you saw a brand new kickoff get introduced. That kickoff essentially plates 10v10 around the 30-yard line or the kick launch area zone. Once that ball lands in the hands of the receiver, then kind of like an offensive and a defensive play, the two lines then go at each other to create a running lane or shut down a running lane for the return man. Here were the statistics on the 2024 return rate. 32.8% of the time last year, a returner in the National Football League returned the football. Why? Is because a lot of teams rather make a team go from the 30-yard line, which is where the touchback was last year, go the 70-yard distance, and not give a dynamic kick returner a chance to return the football. And so a lot of teams would elect, with the touchback on the 30, would elect to just kick it to the end zone and move on. Well, this year, the National Football League is adding 5 yards to the touchback. So if the kickoff team kicks the ball into the end zone and the receiving team now has a touchback, that touchback goes to the 35-yard line, okay? For reference point, you're 15 yards away from the 50, from getting to the offensive side of the field. And I know it only seems like 5 yards, but if we just talked about the importance of 1 yard, And we just talked about the importance of marking the football so beautifully that a team has the ability to know exactly where they are on the field because gaining 1 yard is really hard. While changing the touchback from the 30 to the 35 is going to significantly change things on the kickoff. You now, as a special teams coordinator, got to make a decision. Am I going to kick this football and give this dude a chance to return it for the touchdown? Or am I really going to give their offense 35 yards? Can my kick coverage team stop this dude before the 35-yard line? Or is my kick coverage team going to continually give me worse field position than a touchback at the 35-yard line? The new kickoff was designed for safety, and it did just that, with the concussion rate on kickoffs in 2024 dropping 43%. Now, to finish this conversation, okay, the projected percent of kickoffs that are going to happen in 2025 are going to jump from 33% to roughly 65, 75% per the projections of the special teams coordinators that have been working on this change for the National Football League. This has been 5 to 10 years coming. We've been talking about the kickoff in the National Football League for like 5 to 10 years. At some point in time, I hope we come to the conclusion of this thing. Okay, maybe it's this kickoff formation, touchbacks at the 35. Personally, I think we should move the kicker to the 0-yard line. You're kicking from the end zone of your own field, and you got to boot the ball as far as you freaking want. There's no touchbacks. There's no ball goes out of bounds penalty. No, that dude who can already kick the ball almost 100 yards has to kick the ball from his 0 all the way to the other side. Just like when we would play touch football in the backyard and I scored a touchdown and we did touchdowns with kickoffs, you go to your end zone and you would launch the football to the other end zone. That's how kickoffs should be. And on top of that, the kicker has gotten so much better. Let's stop acting like that's not a thing. Why this guy's kicking off from like the 30 or 40, knowing he's going to put it in the end zone, is stupid. Move him back so he doesn't have a choice. Oh, you want a touchback in the end zone? Okay, you better kick this ball 105 yards. You don't want this guy to return a touchdown? Have better kick coverage. Well, that will make it a little bit more exciting in the National Football League. No. Guy miskicks a kickoff at his own end zone? Yeah, that'll change things a little bit. So that would be my change, because I think the kicker being on the 35-yard line or whatever is a joke. These dudes can boot the ball into the stands beyond the field goal. So let's move them back as well, and I think that'll create more action on the kick. Finally, now remember, all these NFL headlines came out of the owners' meetings this week. So that's why you have all this going on right now. Now you have the draft in 3 weeks. Then it's kind of like a holding period for a little bit. And then the NFL owners come back together late May, early June. And that's when they finalize anything before you get into training camp in late July. So the final thing that came out of the owners' meetings was the lack of tush push being banned. 24 teams of 32 needed to vote yes to ban the tush push. Only 16 voted for that yes. Personally, I think this is ridiculous, okay? The tush push was run 101 times in 2025, nearly 70 of those from the Philadelphia Eagles and the Buffalo Bills. So we're talking about 75% of this play being run by 2 teams. I can't imagine the National Football League feels that it would be okay to essentially ban a play for quote unquote safety, though there are no numbers that present an insane amount of safety concern for the tush push play. Okay. I can't imagine the National Football League wants a rule to be banned that really only affects 2 teams. So essentially what I'm hearing is teams aren't good enough at stopping the tush push versus the Eagles and the Bills. So we're going to have to try and ban it and claim safety. Well, the Packers, who are the team that put this up for debate, had this to say: it's beyond data. There's also the mechanism of injury that we study, which leads us to slow the risk involved with a particular play. I don't understand where the data is there. There's a lot of discussion about going back to the previous rule in 2005. The reality is, I think that makes a lot of sense in many ways because it expands beyond just the single play. There are a lot of plays where you see pushing or pulling somebody that are not in the tush-push formation that I think have to have an increased risk of injury. And so I think the committee will look at that and come back in May with some proposals. What that essentially is a rule in 2005 that got banned from the league where players couldn't push other players from behind that were the ball carrier, okay? And so no quarterback gets stopped at the 3-yard line on a run and the whole offensive line comes behind him and slams him in. That got removed as a rule. So now you could do that. Okay. You can do that now. So the Packers are merely stating we should bring that rule back, which i.e. is the cowardice way of saying we don't know how to stop this tush push thing, but we did have a rule back in the day that didn't allow this. So we should go back to that rule, which then in turn would ban the tush push because we don't know how to stop it. Stop it. Stop it. You're not good enough at playing defense against this play. Therefore, you want it banned. It's not insane amount of injury. Football's injury, dude. Every freaking play in the National Football League, you got a potential torn ACL. You got a potential leg that's out. You got a potential concussion that's about to happen. Heck, you probably got potential paralysis on every single play in the National Football League. And now you want me to draw the line at this one with no data to state that it's insanely dangerous. And also, it's clear and obvious that it's a play used by a small fraction of the National Football League. I just think that's cowardly by the Green Bay Packers and anyone else that supports it. Oh, you don't like it, so ban it? No, you don't like it. Find a way to stop it. And hey, who knows? Maybe you could get creative with the rules like Sirianni and the Eagles did, and you could make a play like that. That's within the rules, really successful for you, and no one knows how to stop it. So very happy, very, very happy that the National Football League did not ban the tush push, at least for this year. I'm going to ban myself talking for 2 minutes so we can go on a commercial break. When we come back, some quick notes out of the National Basketball Association and Major League Baseball before we make our picks here on a It's Andrew Romanella. It's you. It's 12 Ounce Sports. It's the Rome Show. We're back after this.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
Yeah. Welcome back. It's the Rome Show. 12ouncesports.com. Andrew Romanella. Roku TV, Fire TV, X, YouTube, all the places. We got about 5 minutes left in the show. You want to comment? You want to get in on the action? YouTube.com/12OZ Sports, X.com/12OZ Sports. We talked about the National Football League for the first 20 minutes, some rule changes, some new technology, some no rule changes, all the good things here on a hump day headlines Wednesday. Let's go to the National Basketball Association because we didn't get a chance to talk about this the other day. And the Grizzlies, they fired their head coach, Taylor Jenkins, okay, just 9 games before the postseason when the Memphis Grizzlies were sitting at 44-31, fifth in the Western Conference right now, okay, and they were, I think it was like 43-30 at the time of the firing, so essentially the same record. Now, I bring this up because I find it wild when situations like this happen. I read this entire story yesterday, a little bit more in depth, and what an atrocious handling of this situation by the general manager of the Memphis Grizzlies. I also saw a stat yesterday that the Memphis Grizzlies, now in the last 4 firings of head coaches, have fired a guy the year after they brought them to the postseason, okay? And I think what's gone on in the world here that this Memphis Grizzlies situation is teaching me is, A, general managers sometimes aren't the best person to make the decision on the ball club, okay? B, it is wild to me how much gets blamed on a coach and what the visual for a coach is. Your team is 13 games over 500. You are in the 5th seed of 10 with a team and a player in Ja Morant that has been suspended for waving guns and Instagram videos, is consistently hurt, and you don't have enough talent to beat the teams that are ahead of you in the Western Conference. And this man's got you 13 games over 500, trending into the postseason, not in a play-in game. Maybe a good stretch down the end and you win the 4 seed and get the home series. But nothing indicated that this guy deserved to be fired. Nothing. And then you read back over the summer and how the GM made this guy fire all 5 of his assistant coaches and forced him into hiring these certain assistant coaches. And now you look at it and you go, one of those assistant coaches is now the interim head coach. And that's embarrassing. Like, this is a man's life. This is a man's career. This is what this man does. And he, if you look at it, had no reasonings to be fired, no deservings to be fired. And it's just another example in the sports world about how the coach is the person that's blamed. And sometimes, a lot of times, it's not the coach. It's not the coach. I don't think Mike Brown deserved to be fired from Sacramento in December. They had a losing streak. Okay, so you're not allowed to have a losing streak anymore? So I think this hire fire world that we live in, this, doesn't look good after 406 days, you're the hell out of here. Or, it looks really good, you're top 5 in the league, but we want to be top 4 in the league. Well, of course you do. But you're not giving me the money to spend like the Los Angeles Lakers or the Boston Celtics. You're not a good enough general manager to put talent together like those teams. So no wonder we're 5th in the West, because you haven't given me any talent outside of Ja Morant, who's on this roster. But no, it's the coach's fault. And you're going to fire him 9 games before the season ends? I'm sorry, that's ridiculous. So I just had to get that off my chest. I am so tired of these general managers who are atrocious at their job, firing these coaches for what? There are certain coaches that deserve to be fired. There are plenty that deserve to be fired. But recently, let's call it the last 5 years, it is crazy how many coaches lose their job after success, after really generalized success that most don't have, that most do not have. It is wild to me. Let's continue. And we finish in Major League Baseball. We got some stories for you. First and foremost, from the New York Metropolitans, Sean Manaea has been shut down for 2 more weeks with a right oblique. He's been shut down with the right oblique, but there were some setbacks in his rehab. Not good for the Metropolitans. The Metropolitans were really going to rely on Sean Manaea in their rotation. They are currently 2-5 3. The New York Yankees,
Day.
they're going to bring back Adam Ottaviano, okay? Adam Ottaviano was on the Mets last year, the Yankees the year before, as on a 1-year deal to help bolster their bullpen. The Yankees right now, they are 3-1, but they've only given up 21 runs in those 4 games, and losing Garrett Cole for the year, wondering who's going to step up in some different spots. Good start there for the Yankees, especially on the mound. Then finally, yes, we all expected this, and yes, it is happening. The Los Angeles Dodgers are the best team in Major League Baseball. They have a 6-0 record to start the season. That is the first time the Los Angeles Dodgers have had a 6-0 record to start a season. Since 1981. Since I wrote that stat down, they won again. 7-0 record the Dodgers have right now. Why? Large part due to their run saving. Yes, they've only given up 19 runs in 7 games so far. Now, I am sometimes a novice math person, okay? But I would say 19 runs over the course of 7 games is under 2.5 runs given up a game. That is really good if your pitching staff's going to do that. And plus, they've scored 39 runs for a differential of plus 21. Good for second in the league behind their counterpart, the San Diego Padres, at plus 22. That is the start of Major League Baseball, and it's going to continue to rock. Let's finish this show with...
Ba 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 na na ba 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 na na.
All right, it's bananas. We got some picks for the people. I'm letting you know now that we are going to stay in the National Basketball Association. Yesterday, we had the 76ers losing to the Knicks by less than 15, and they did just that. They lost to the Knicks by 14, so we won that one. We had the Ducks winning by 1.5. They did not do that. They did win in overtime, though, by 1, 4-3. And then we had the Denver Nuggets on the money line versus the Timberwolves, and they lost by 1 point. Wild. That's just how the banana world works. So we are 84-66. We move on to today. I got the Pistons. They're playing the best team in the league outside the Cavs and OKC, and the Pistons are playing well. They're going to have a playoff spot. They are underdogs by 14.5 points in this game. The Pistons are 22-14-2 on the road against the spread. And though under have the best spread record out of any team in the National Basketball Association, I'm going to take the Pistons here on the road to at least cover 14.5. And then on top of that, the Thunder and the Pistons have some of the best over-under beat record in the National Basketball Association. So that over-under in that game is 30.5. I'm going to take the over there. I'm going to go with the numbers. So give me the Pistons at plus 14.5. Give me the over in the OKC Pistons game at 230.5. And then I want the Atlanta Hawks against the Mavericks. I just don't trust the Mavericks. Not been a big fan since they traded Luka away. Hawks are underdogs by 4.5 there, so give me the Hawks at the plus 4.5. That would be your daily bananas for the people. And by the way, that's what we would call the Rome Show here on yeah, that's right, on a hump day. Andrew Romanella, we will not be live tomorrow. We have to leave for a conference baseball game really early in the morning, so I will return live on Friday for the people. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you, the listener. Without you, we got nothing. It's the Rome Show. It's Andrew Romanella. You have an electric day, and peace.
Thank you for listening.